Hey guys, I got on a little portable power station to share with you, but before we get into the review, I wanted to show you how well this thing comes. It's a box, inside of a box, and then the power station's in another box. So this is one of the newest models from Elecaenta. They've been around in the solar panel market for a long time. Pretty reputable company. This is the EM200, and it's a little guy, but we'll kind of go around the box here. There are some of the uses: camping, fishing, power outage emergencies, school, home, travel. A couple of the quick specs on it: 200 watt hours. The DC can charge up to, you can put in 100 watt max. It's got AC outlets. It's got multiple DCs. We'll go through all that stuff in a bit. Nothing on the bottom, nothing on the other side. All right, let's quickly see how everything's packaged and what all comes in the box here. So padding, looks like we got a user manual here. Got the power station and probably like our charging bricks and stuff. We'll get this opened up. So in this box we have a 12 volt DC charging cable. We have part of the AC charging cable, and then the rest of the AC, so it's like a small brick. And there was also this 12 volt cable. And so typically when one of these is included, it means there's not a 12 volt receptacle on the power station itself, but instead there'll be like a barrel adapter plug. This will plug in there, and then whatever 12 volt, whether it's a cooler or a 12 volt blanket or whatever you might have, will plug into this then. All right, I'm gonna get all the cables out of the way so we can focus on the power station now. So this user manual is actually very thick, but it's in like a dozen different languages probably. This part right there is the English. It's only a few pages long. So here are some more technical specifications. And this little guy right there has a lithium iron phosphate battery in it, which is like the newest technology for portable power stations. And what that gives you is at least 3,000 cycles where that battery is going to maintain 100% of its original capacity. After 3,000 cycles, it might start to degrade a little bit, maybe down to like 80% of its original capacity. But what it basically means is that this is going to last you for probably 20 plus years. There's the dimensions and the weight, but I'll get you those in inches and in pounds in a minute. The input, again, you can use anywhere from 12 volts to 24 volts. Which does mean you can use solar to charge it. And it does have a power delivery 60 watt USB-C, and that's also a DC out for power delivery, which is pretty cool. Most of these small ones, especially these budget ones like this, do not have in and out on the USB-C port. And on that output side, it does have a pure sine wave inverter. Again, most of these small ones do not. Most of them are modified sine wave. This is a pure sine wave, so it has a really nice feature so far. It's got a built-in MPPT charge controller, so it regulates all of the charge coming into it. You don't have to worry about anything with that. And a whole bunch of safety stuff on there. Short circuit, overheating, over discharge, overcharging, just all kinds of stuff if you want to look at that. And the last thing I want to show you in the manual is kind of what they show you. I mean, you can use this for all kinds of things, but this is about how many charges they expect. Like on a typical smartphone, you should be able to get at least 16 charges out of this little thing. If you're running a router, it'll be over 16 hours. You do the quick math there, that tells me that there should be at least 160 watt hours or more, and we will test that to see if we get that. So some quick dimensions on this. I'll just let you guys know, this thing's one of the smallest power stations that I've ever reviewed. We are somewhere near 7 inches wide. I'm going to include kind of the handle and the feet here. We're maybe close to 5 inches in height, and our depth is maybe just over 4 inches, right around that. And those are rough numbers. And the weight on this little guy, 4 pounds, 9 ounces. So quickly showing you around the power station. Got these little handles up on top that you can carry it if you don't want to just pick it up, you know, like that. The front has most of the DC stuff, and I do like how the buttons are right at the ports that you're going to need. So if you want the USBs, you just hit this one. If you want these barrel plugs over here, you just hit this one. The main power button's on the front. We'll go over that display and stuff in a bit. Got the AC outlets over here. There's two of them. One is grounded, one's standard. You got your AC button there. Looks like a couple little fans up in there, probably for the inverter. Nothing on the back side. This side, there's a couple LEDs, and again, there's a button there to hit those. That's probably like an exhaust, like the vent for the fan to blow the air out. And on the bottom, there's some more specs and some little rubber feet. All right, let's get it powered on. We'll see what percentage they shipped it at. Hopefully it's around 70, maybe 70 to 80. All right, 68%, pretty good. I do like that you have to hold that for a couple seconds to get that to turn on. That way it doesn't get it accidentally bumped or anything like that when it's getting put in the package. So it looks like on the USBs, you just tap those. You don't have to hold them at all. Let's get this turned on the AC side. We'll see if it comes on here. Yeah, so we got everything on, and then we'll turn that. We'll go ahead and look at these lights here. So actually very bright. It's almost like a spotlight. We'll see if it does anything else besides just come on. They might flash here. I think that's that's definitely dimmer. So it came on high, then there's low, and that looks like an SOS, and then off. Okay. And if you look closely on the display, it'll show you, so if we have the USB on, it says USB. The DC, it'll say DC. AC over here, it says AC. And then the LED button, it says LED. So very nice on that. So I'm gonna leave this go for a couple minutes and see if that display times out or like shuts down, or if I have to actually turn it back off. All right, so I've given this display 3 or 4 minutes and it's still showing that 68%. So don't forget, like if you were to charge this up and then you go to store it, you know, for like maybe an intended power outage or something like that, you do have to hit that to turn that back off. I doubt that that's going to draw a whole lot of your battery, but it would, powering that display, it will put a slow draw on your battery. So one of the ways that we can charge this Elecaenta back up is using a solar panel. I've got a little 80-watt panel here. It's after 2 in the afternoon, so it's not perfect sun, and it's a super kind of cloudy day, but we'll see if it will at least charge. All right, the panel's showing that it's got some sunlight powering it on. So we'll take a plug here. This could be somewhat confusing to some people. This is the only input right here. It's kind of hard to see out here, and then you can see like the progress bar going across showing that it's charging. So yes, it's definitely taking the charge from the solar panel. It does not tell us how many watts that we have coming in, which probably means it doesn't tell us how many watts we have going out whenever we're using it. But definitely taking the charge from the solar panel. You know, if my little 80-watt panel was giving us, let's just say 60 watts, it would take like maybe 3.5 hours, something like that, to charge this all the way back up. So besides solar, we can also charge it up in our car, either through, like if you have a back 12-volt port or like a cigarette style lighter up front. It'll be the same thing. We'll plug it basically down here into this DC port. Make sure that we're getting some charge. And yes, we are definitely charging up. And the last way is just by simply using the wall charger. And we'll plug that in there and let it charge up now. Alright, so while this is charging up, let's check a couple things before we go over all the ports and everything. But I want to make sure this thing has pass-through charging. A lot of these little budget power stations do not have it, and it is a kind of important thing. What that means is that you can be charging this and then using it at the same time. So like if you had a solar panel outside, you ran your cable through the window or door or whatever, you could still be able to use this. So I have a lamp plugged into the USB side. Let's turn that on, and it appears that we can because it powered on already. And then let me hit the button for the light. Yeah, light came on, no problem at all. That's perfect. Now let's check the AC side. So I'm going to hit the button for that. So we'll plug a lamp into the AC side and see. Yeah, the light just came on. I must have already had it turned on, but that is working. So you can definitely charge and use it at the same time. One tip on that is, in my opinion, it's better to use the DC ports if you're trying to do that pass-through charging. It keeps those batteries inside of this from getting too hot. Also, whatever you think that your power coming in might be, so let's just say I was using that 80 watt panel outside, and maybe I have 60 watts coming in. I would probably use less than 60 watts right now if I were trying to do that pass-through charging. So while this is charging with that wall outlet, that's 72 watts. Sometimes you don't get fully that, but it's probably still close to 70 watts that that's charging at. So it should take like 2 hours, 2.5 hours, something like that for this to fully charge. But then I also remembered that you can do USB-C in charging on this. I would not recommend doing both at the same time. I don't even know if it's capable. But if this charges at 60 watts and that's 70 or close to it, that's 130. That's too fast for a battery this size. But I'm gonna unplug this one and then try to plug it into this USB-C. And it took it a minute for that to register. But yes, it is charging now off of that USB-C cable. I did want to let you guys know that while it's been plugged in and charging, that the display stays on constantly, which is a nice feature to be able to look over and see what percentage you're up to. A lot of these power stations, even while it's charging, the display will go off, so you got to come over and basically hit the button to see, if you're fully charged or not. All right, let's quickly go over some of the ports now that it's fully charged up, and we'll get to use and show you what you can actually charge and power with this thing. So on the USB side, we have this power delivery 60 watt in, 60 watt out, USB type C. We have 3 quick charge 3.0 USB A's. Those are capable of 24 watts. I assume that's total between the 3 ports there. Over here, this is the 5521s. I don't know if that'll focus or not, but you can see that those 3 say out, and then that one says in. Again, I kind of wish that the input one was a little bit different because they're all the exact same port. Just know that those are 3 for charging things out, and that's for charging the actual power station there. I just wish this was moved in a different location, one of the sides or something. But these ports here are all 12 volts and 5 amps. And the input port, the 5521 there, is 12 volts to 24 volts. I said that earlier, and it's 5 amps with a max input of 100 watts. And the 2 outlets on the side are 110 volts. As I mentioned before, it does have a pure sine wave inverter that's rated at 200 watts with a peak or a surge of 400 watts. All right, as you can see, we have multiple lights, multiple tablets, multiple fans, and we'll start plugging some things in and see what this little Elecaenta can handle. So the first thing I want to check is to make sure that the AC outlets are in fact 110 volt like it says it is. So I'm going to take a voltmeter here, plug in. It will be upside down, so I'm going to have to flip this around so we can see it. And that is 109.4 volts, 109.5. So yes, it's right at 110 basically. And at 60 hertz. So we know this lamp here works. I showed it during the pass-through charging. I'm still going to plug it in and get it going here. All right, so lamp is on. Now on the same AC side, I'm going to use a fan here. Honestly, you can use just about any type of house fan, whether it's a box fan, like one of the pedestal fans, tower fans, whatever. It's not going to matter. This might have trouble with those big giant like industrial fans that you would have like in a factory or a gymnasium or something, but these here should work just fine. All right, so let's get this plugged in. Fan came on immediately. I'm going to keep this running, but I'm going to point it away from us. So I have that fan on its highest setting, which I think pulls like 30 watts or something close to that. And then I have this lamp going. The two together should be around 35 watts. That is one thing this does not show, which I didn't think it would when we were outside charging. It doesn't tell you how many watts you have going out. Most of these small budget ones like this will not tell you that. It'll just tell you your battery percentage, and so as we're using stuff, this number will start to go down a little bit. But all right, so next I'm going to turn on the DC ports over here, the USB ports, and I'm going to plug another light in. And we'll get this one turned on. All right, it's on over there now. So we still have the fan going, we still have the lamp going over here, and then that ring light. Now I'm going to take one of the old kind of iPads, like the large iPads, plug it in here with this lamp and see if that thing powers on. Yes, it's on, and it is definitely charging. We still have another USB-A here and a USB-C. So I brought out a small iPad. We'll use the USB-C for it. See if that starts charging. So yes, that is charging. Let's flip that up so we can see it. Make sure that's still charging. So we're still charging there. I'm going to let this stuff go for a while. We'll let this 100% run down a little bit. So over here, let's turn this side on. So we just turned the DC, the 5521s on, and I'm going to use that provided plug and plug in one of these. Now you could take like a 12 volt refrigerator, like I mentioned earlier, or any type of 12 volt fan, electric blanket, whatever. I'm going to use this little thing here just to show that we have power coming out of here, and then we'll hook some more stuff up to this. This is all still charging, so you can see everything's still on and charging, but I'm just going to slide it out of the way just to kind of get a little more room in here. And then we'll take this here, and what we want to see is a blue light over here. That means that we have power coming through here. So let me turn this on. There's our blue light. So yes, we have power going to this. Now technically I could have a couple more outlets if I wanted, or I have multiple more USB ports. You know, I still have an open USB port right there, but let's just say that they were all 4 full. I could take this fan right here, plug it into this little thing, and if I needed another fan, again, there's no battery in this fan. It's running completely off of this little unit here. But that's just running through the USB. And even though I already have 2 lights going on this, if I needed a third light, I could plug like my little USB light in back here and power that one on too. So yeah, I've got that ring light, I've got this lamp, I've got this light, and all this other stuff. Everything should still be charging. We'll make sure. Still charging. Check this. Yep, that's still charging as well. I could still be running this fan, multiple fans, multiple lights, multiple iPads, all off of this little Elecaenta power station. And I know this kind of looks like a mess, but this just gives you an idea though of things that you can potentially run off of these little portable power stations. And what you can do is basically have the power station, like, let's just say like in a TV room or family room, and just run an extension cord or two, maybe into like your kitchen or one into the bathroom, and then have like one of these little lights in there, and basically have light in any room that you go into. All right, so next up, we're going to do a capacity test. So basically, I'm going to take this watt meter and I'm going to plug into the side here, and then I put a 60-watt bulb in this lamp here, and we'll let this thing run until it completely powers itself off. I'm hoping that it's at least 160 watt hours. It claims to be 200 watt hours. If we can get 80% of that, that's really good for power stations. So that's going to be the goal, and I'll show you the setup here in just a second. All right, so we'll power this outlet on. You can see that just came on. And what I'm going to do here is reset this so that everything's at 0. All right, and now we are going to plug this lamp in. Light just came on. And it's drawing about 54 watts right now. So what we'll do is we'll just let this go for however long it takes. Should be a little over 3 hours. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do this test probably 3 times and then get an average of what our capacity was. All right, guys, quick update. At about 3 hours or so, I'm over 150 watt hours right now, and there's about 5% left right now. So hopefully we make it to that 160 watt hours. Basically, I will recharge the power station and we'll run the test again. All right, so the first time we got 155 watt hours, which is about 78% efficient. So I did that capacity test 3 times and I got 155 watt hours all 3 times. So just shy of 80%, which is pretty darn good for these little power stations. So these are obviously nice to have during a power outage. You can charge cell phones, run lights, run fans. The 60-watt bulb that I showed kind of during the demonstration here, I would not run this high of wattage because it's only going to last you like 3 hours or whatever it was. Instead, I would run something that's more like these here that are 9-watt bulbs, like LED bulbs, or even better yet, I would run this style here. They're only 2.5 watts, and basically you could plug this in, plug it in here, and then just you know, carry the thing from room to room. Or if you wanted, you could take something like this, plug it into the outlet down here, and then run 3 extension cords off of this. And if you had 3 of these running, that's only 7.5 watts. I mean, this thing would last, you know, 20 hours, so it'd probably give you 4 or 5 days worth of, you know, light at night. You could also take these things, obviously, camping or fishing, take them out on the boat with you, tailgating. There really are so many uses, and even something this small could still power quite a bit of stuff. You know, this little power station has a lot of really good things going for it. It's got the lithium iron phosphate batteries, which is going to last you for years and years and years. And having that USB-C in and out, the 60-watt power delivery port, that's also really good. I don't usually see like small kind of budget ones that have that feature. Couple things I hope they change or improve on future models is showing us how many watts we have going in and how many watts we have coming out on the display. And also, I don't really care for that input charging port to be right there with the output ports. It can confuse people. I'd like to see it just somewhere else. But overall, this Elecaenta is a fantastic unit, and I definitely highly recommend it. So at the time of me recording this, these are on Amazon for $159, but there's a $30 off coupon, bringing it to $129. They've also provided me a 10% discount code, which I'll leave down in the video description, bringing them down to like 116 or 117, something like that, which is a really good price for basically what they're claiming is a 200 watt hour unit. They'll put you like at 53 cents a watt hour, which is really, really cheap on these, especially considering that it's the lithium iron phosphate. So yeah, if you want to find out more information on this little Elecaenta, I will leave a link down in the video description. You guys got any questions or comments, put them down below, and that's going to be it on this one. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it.